there folks, I wanted to make a video this evening about a certain master, Bruce Lee, and there's been a lot been said about him. A lot of people said that he wasn't a fighter, he was just an actor, he was just a showman, he was a face, he was a fake, he was a false prophet, didn't really know what he was doing, blah blah, more blahs, and that he was little, and that he wasn't strong at all. And I think half of the people that say that know exactly that they're talking out of their you-know-what, and I think the other half, which is a really serious part of this, are so deluded and so caught up with imagination that they can't actually check back on reality. And I'm sure if you actually prop some of these people up in front of a demonstration that he'd done, or a film that he'd done, and sat them down and go, look, this really was slowed down half the speed, just so you could see what he was sort of doing, and even then you wouldn't, because he didn't just do weights. He wasn't just like putting on strength. What Bruce Lee was doing was building his twitch technology, and the way he did that was plyometrics and isometrics. He even invented some of his own machines to work the arms and the feet to actually make them punch faster. Certain things he was normal at. Well, I wouldn't say normal, but like bench press and stuff, he could bench press his own weight. But if you go down the gym, and every other fit person can do that. But where Bruce Lee was different from everyone, remember he was only 60 kilos, he could deadlift over 300 kilos. So it seemed to me it wasn't so much the strength in his upper body, even though that was solid. What the strength he had was his legs and his hips, and his back. And if you look at the program of deadlifting, yeah, you're using pretty much every muscle in your body, but when you make a deadlift, you really are activating the legs and the glutes and the hips, and you're using a bit of your upper body, but not that much. All you're doing with the upper body is just keeping the bar there. You're actually driving the bar with your legs. So with that in mind, you can imagine not only how hard he could kick with, but how hard he could punch with, because he punched with his legs and his waist. He really leant over his waist and got the power from his waist and his legs. And that's why they were saying that even though he was that weight, he was punching at the weight of like 120, 130 kilo, someone twice his weight. And it doesn't surprise me. A lot of people say that he's just a showman, he was just an actor. But what they don't realise was, as a kid, when he was 14, he got beaten up by 4 or 5 kids. He got really badly injured. That's when he sought out IP Man, and he realised that even though he realised at an early age he was still not learnt enough in 2 things, not just in martial arts, but in philosophy. And I think the IP Man helped him out with both of those, really. He developed his philosophy, so he didn't actually have to fight as he grew older. With certain people, he could be diplomatic. And obviously he developed his martial arts as a backup, just in case things did go wrong for him. And a lot of the times they did on the streets in Hong Kong. He ended up beating up one of the triad's sons, the Don's son, and got sent away from Hong Kong for his own protection, because he could have got shot. Anything could have happened to Bruce. And then they said, a lot of people say, oh well, if he was that great, why didn't he fight in the UFC or the MMA as it was then? Why wasn't he a boxer? Why didn't he do the equivalent of K1 in those days? And obviously Bruce knew about these. He knew he could be a boxer, and he could be all of them. But I think he knew that even with gloves, and with how he hit and how fast and hard he hit, and how many hits one of his opponents would take from him, and he also knew about the weight divisions. He knew that he couldn't go up and fight a heavyweight, and he knew a heavyweight couldn't come down and fight him. And I think that's what Bruce really wanted. He would not have been comfortable fighting someone the same weight or a little bit heavier than him, because he knows how many punches he would have got in, and then he knows he would have been too quick for the ref. And 9 times out of 10, I do believe he would have killed his opponents. And it's tragedy when we see an opponent die or get put in hospital in boxing in this day and age. But if Bruce had been fighting whenever he was fighting, it would have been every other fight or most fights. They would have been going in hospital and either dying on the canvas or dying inside hospital, and he knew that. And I believe that's why he didn't fight. And if he had fought big boxers as well, it would have been the same story. He would have probably got in more punches to the bigger boxers than the little boxers, the same ones his height or a bit size or a bit bigger. And eventually he would have caused too much damage for them. I still think he would have been too much for Muhammad Ali. He would have been too much for all of them. I even think that my personal toughest fighter and greatest heavyweight that lived was Rocky Marciano. And I still believe that although he would have lasted longer with Bruce would have got him eventually. And you know, dread to think what Bruce would have done to him. Do you know what I mean? What sort of condition he would have put him in? Because we have to understand that Bruce's philosophies were very peaceful and very harmonious and very melodic, and he took a consideration of the mass consciousness. But Bruce also had this animal side to him. He was very much a cat, or very much a dragon side of him. Born in the year of the dragon, on the day of the dragon, on the hour of the dragon. That was Bruce Lee. And he said, if a dragon whips his tail at you, you'll know about it. And this was the thing about him. He would flip mode. And if he would flip mode, whether it be in a professional fight or not, he was dangerous. He was too dangerous. And the only reason that he did flip mode is because before any of this happened, after he trained by a P-man, he went straight into street fighting for many years. And there, you can imagine, anything goes. That nice Bruce Lee would have gone out the window, and it would have been Mr. fucking Survival Bruce Lee, Mr. Dragon Cat Bruce Lee, and that's how he portrayed himself on that character, that side of him on his films. That's why we saw that. And I think in a street fight that would come out. Unfortunately, because he had conditioned himself with fighting, that would have also come out in boxing and K1 and UFC or MMA at the time. That's why I'm glad that he only did demonstrations, and they were enough as well to see what he was about. I also believe that looking at his weight and his leg drive, I really do believe this now. I do believe that Bruce, more than anything, could have been, if not the best sprinter in the history of mankind. I reckon he could have gone very much faster than what they're running today in the 100 metres and 200 metres. And I also believe that if he'd have trained properly, he could have been a great Olympic fence fighter, and also really good at fencing, and really good at quite a few other sports as well. Obviously not the ping pong with the nunchuckers, you know what I mean? I mean, Bruce was good, but he weren't that good. So that's the end of that one.